The year is 1960. A small tank engine built more than 90 years before is joining its short train for the 4.5-mile run to the seaside settlement on Hayling Island. This is part of an intensive summer Saturday service of 2 trains each way every hour. This film shows how it was achieved. As we leave Havant with its electrics to Waterloo, Portsmouth and Brighton, we also leave behind the little engine which brought in our train. These small locomotives are the famous Terriers of the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway's engineer William Stroudley. Built in the 1870s, they originally powered suburban trains in South London. Several have survived into preservation. This crew seem anxious about the lubrication of their steed. This was filmed long before the days of health and safety legislation. Langstone's crossing keeper also has charge of the platform. Ahead is Langstone Viaduct. Of timber construction, its limited strength severely restricts the train weight it can safely handle. The railway viaduct was required to have an opening span, hence the signal box, whose signals are always at clear for both directions. The shallow water can only be used by small craft, so the later road bridge was not designed to open. This engine's chimney sports a wire mesh spark arrestor, a fire precaution for the timber viaduct. On our right is the large expanse of shallow Langstone Harbour. Of summer Saturday's 2-hour service, only 1 train each way called at the 2 halts. Sound recording, photography. As we run into the terminus, the other train is ready to depart. During our uncoupling, and while our engine prepares to run round to the outer end of its train, the other train will be leaving from the opposite platform. The bucket on a Terrier was often hung on a lamp iron like this, as the cab is so cramped. With the engine now at the outer end, the train can be shunted to the other platform. Then it will be tea time. In other places it was quite uncommon for a shunter to use flags like this. As well as tea, this was the time for more oiling and for cleaning the fire. And finally, the washing up. Once the other train had arrived, we could get the road and depart. The cab of a terrier is not only cramped, it's also hot on a warm summer day. In the distance across Langstone Harbour lies Portsmouth. Although very pleasant in summer, it could be extremely bleak along here in winter, maybe with a gale blowing across the wide expanse of Langstone Harbour. The nearest settlement to here is Stoke. To avoid confusion with many others of the same name, this halt was named North Hayling. How small the engine looks compared to a coach. This branch was opened throughout by a subsidiary of the LBSCR in 1867. It had reached this point 2 years earlier. The only road to the island. How unpopular must the railway's intensive Saturday service have been, stopping the traffic 4 times each hour on the busiest day of the summer week. As we run into Havant's branch platform, the engine which brought in the previous train is waiting in the run-round loop. When our train has stopped, it will emerge and be coupled to it, and the cycle will begin again. The arriving engine is uncoupled, and its tanks refilled from the water column. So that's how they ran 2 trains each way each hour, using 2 sets of coaches and 3 little steam engines. Practical in Victorian times with cheap labour, but how much more efficient would it be with modern multiple units?